Hi, I'm Rachael Renee, an artist, creativity coach, and your internet hype gal.
And I'm Lauren Hom, a designer, muralist, and chef. And this is Crash Course, a Chaotic Creatives mini-series about gathering in the material world.
Throughout the series, you'll follow along as we imagine, plan, and launch an exciting in-person workshop in New York City that you can actually attend this November.
And hopefully we'll inspire you to host a workshop of your very own. Let's jump in.
Last week on Crash Course, we fleshed out the details of the workshop itself. We retitled it. We came up with a general curriculum and a time frame, and we're really excited to host this in person.
Yeah, and now we're going to go over some troubleshooting to make our workshop experience and your future workshop experience run a little more smoothly.
Yeah. Okay, Lauren, so I feel like we have the bones of our in-person workshop, which we are actually going to teach. And the listeners can sign up for if they're in Brooklyn or want to travel to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about this. We are going to teach a sustainable sculpture workshop. It's going to be about 6 hours.
November 13th.
November 13th.
Which is a Thursday.
Yes. And we've kind of walked through our brainstorming process, an abbreviated version of our brainstorming process in these many episodes. And I feel like even though we're not teaching you how to host a workshop in detail through this conversation, well, Lauren does have a resource for that if you are interested. So I'm going to pitch that for you.
That's very sweet. I always forget about it. Kristle always reminds me that we launched it like at the beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
So I guess it's time to bring it back out. So yeah, if you do want a more prescriptive 100-page ebook on how to like teach your own workshop.
You've given so much guidance in that document.
Kids don't want to read.
The kids don't
I'm going to have to do an audiobook version where read it to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Kristle and I will bully you into relaunching that at some point.
You.
But even though like we're not going through that level of prescription, we do want to end this mini-series with some troubleshooting because there are things that we've learned that because we've learned them, we can help you not make those mistakes.
Yeah, we hope that you feel that by getting a peek into our process of ideating and like working through like the details of how to teach a workshop, what are we going to teach, how much are we going to charge, like the logistics of it. We hope that inspires you to teach your own. And since we have taught so many of our own, we've walked down this path and run into so many like issues and snafus that should you actually go and teach your own and maybe you're feeling a little bit nervous, we just want to talk about some of the things that we've experienced that we wish we knew before we started that will be very helpful to you should you teach your own.
Yeah, let's start with kind of something that we were starting to talk about in the last episode, but maybe didn't articulate clearly, but what to do if no one signs up or like having a minimum.
Ooh, yeah, I think this is the unspoken fear of everybody who is thinking about hosting a workshop for the first time, especially if you're newer and you don't have a huge audience yet, but you just kind of have that pull that you're like, I'd love to teach, but like, what if no one likes me? And there are a couple ways to think about this and to protect yourself against this. One, if you are worried about selling out a workshop, promote it as far in advance as possible.
Yeah.
Like 3-4 months. Like for us, I would, if you're more advanced, like minimum 4 to 6 weeks.
Yep.
But if you're really, really nervous, 3 months. Like give yourself as much more time than you think you're going to need.
And like, the thing that I always think about is 3 months of promotion feels like a lot and sometimes feels really hard. As creatives, it's hard to promote our work. People don't see it.
Yeah.
You have to do it so much that you feel so obnoxious because that's the way that people will see it a couple of times.
And it gives you time to, promote to your audience online. It gives you time to promote to maybe you even have a small newsletter. It gives you time to like walk around your local community because if you're teaching in person, hang some flyers. It gives time for the word of mouth to circulate.
Yep.
When you only have a month of lead time before a workshop, there's not enough time for word of mouth to really get out there. People are busy. They're planning their schedules. Like, people just don't hear about things.
Right.
Or they do, but they're like so overstimulated that it doesn't really sink
Yeah,
in.
I mean, the amount of things that I've screenshotted to be like, I should sign up for that. And then I forget. So it's like, unless that person is talking about it again and again and again, like, I don't feel annoyed by that.
Yeah,
I'm like,
no.
yeah, promote your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're worried about that, give yourself
promote in advance.
Promote in advance. You can always set a minimum, like Rachael mentioned. So you can put a little disclaimer on the sales page that says, this workshop will only move forward if 4 people sign up by this date. If we don't get this number of minimum participants by this date, I will refund you and the workshop will be canceled. That can protect you against having to show up to a room of 2 people.
Right.
If you're worried about that, some people now will give the workshop, like, give your best performance to like the smallest audience and still like give your all. That's cool. But if it makes you nervous, then.
Yeah. I think that that's very reasonable to do in virtual circumstances.
Yeah.
Or if you're working with, like a retail partner or something.
Or you got the space for free.
Yeah. But like, let's say you and I invested $500 in the space, $300 in the materials, $100 in the lunch, and then one person signs up, we are out then.
Yes.
So there's you have to like figure out what that trade-off is. I also think that if the financial investment is okay, like if you feel comfortable investing for the growth of your business.
Yeah, like you want to get photos of yourself teaching a workshop or something.
Exactly. Like what I have done in the past is, and I know you tried to do this or maybe did do this. If your workshop isn't full, but you still want it to go on, you could offer the spaces for free in exchange for testimonials. So you want to get something out of giving someone a free ticket, right? It's not just like, oh, hey, come do this thing. Like, you can do that. Sure.
I did that for my pom-pom workshop. I was like bodies in seats.
Yeah. And I've done that and asked my friends like, hey, do you want to do this? Well, first of all, only give it to people who are actually going to do it.
Yes.
But then ask for a testimonial, because you can always use good feedback about your business. And like, I've used testimonials and helped people realize like, oh, wow, this was not what I expected it to be. Thank you so much for offering this to me. And then that testimonial helps me when I want to sell it again.
Totally.
So yeah, thinking about the trade-offs, like I tend to do that more for virtual stuff than in person, because it is really hard to invest the time, energy, and money to
depending on what you're teaching. Like if you're teaching, let's say, a workshop where you only need paper and pencil, so the material cost is not that high, maybe you'd be fine running it because you have the materials on hand. But if you're printing custom workbooks or you're sourcing expensive like fabrics or something like that, everyone needs, let's say, a pair of scissors and a glue gun. Like maybe that's not the most practical workshop to invest up front, only to have 2 people show up.
Right.
So you can protect yourself with a minimum.
And kind of along those lines, in terms of getting materials, we talked a little bit about when we were kind of brainstorming this, and have talked in the past about when do you decide when ticket sales end? Because I have had people sign up the morning of, like a couple hours before a workshop, but thankfully the materials were just like a workbook and I had printed extras and brought them with me. So if it's like a hand lettering, paper pencil kind of workshop, do you want to keep the ticket sales open up until the point?
It's easy to have extras on hand, right?
Yep.
Spend like $5 extra to have a couple extra pencils and paper.
But then I've also had the opposite happen, where like I taught a creative visioning workshop and people booked, an hour before, and I was manually sending them the Zoom link, and I didn't see their email or their order come through. So they didn't auto get to join, which that was my fault. And so I learned like, okay, if they're ordering a digital thing, automate it so that they get the email with the link. Obviously, I refunded the people that weren't able to make it, but like 2 or 3 people signed up within the hour. And I was like, it was the first time that I was teaching that one virtually. So I was like all set up and getting my water and making sure everything was all set. I closed my email out to not have distractions, didn't see it. So you suggested when we were talking about this, like, do you want to just have sales close the night before so that you have peace of mind?
Yeah, I think when it comes to in-person like planning, depending on your style, I had the same thing happen. I taught a food lettering workshop 2 years ago, and I had someone sign up. I left ticket sales open. I didn't think anyone was going to sign up morning of. I just didn't think to close it out.
Mm-hmm.
Someone signed up the morning of. For this workshop, I had pre-painted these like kind of like plastic backdrops that people could like letter on, move food around on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to run out morning of and buy an extra backdrop.
Whoa.
And I was like, oh, this is bad. So I should have closed ticket sales for something like that the night before.
Mm-hmm.
So depending,
or bought one extra.
Or like, yeah, just like spent the $10 to like prep one extra. Maybe even two, because a lot of times people will sign up in pairs for workshops. So if you are going to leave ticket sales open to like catch like an extra sale or two, I would say have a set of extra supplies.
I think that's fair advice. Or if you're teaching something like, us having to bring trash and drywall, mud, and all that stuff with us, like maybe we'll close ticket sales the night before so that we can have time to go and get all extra material if needed.
Yeah, depending on when you need to source your materials and how you portion it out. Like, does everybody need like a glass bottle? Like, how hard is it to source your materials? You can even close ticket sales like a week before if you wanted. That is your prerogative.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's really hard to source your materials. Or the event space needs to know exactly how many chairs you need.
Or you have to submit the catering order or something like that. Yeah. Okay. And then we kind of talked about it a little bit, but like asking for feedback and incentivizing feedback. One thing that I've been really trying hard to do is to ask in the workshops, like, hey, I would love to hear if there's anything that you were expecting that I didn't cover, or things I could do differently next time, or, what you enjoyed, because I want to hear the good, but I also am open to feedback to learn and grow and change things for the better. I have a hard time. I hound people about, especially like in one-on-one coaching. I mean, a lot of feedback comes very naturally because I feel like I get so many wonderful DMs of people saying like, hey, I just want to let you know, like your Dress for Yourself course, like changed my life, which is phenomenal to hear. But sometimes those happen organically when the work is very impactful. And then sometimes people are like, that was really fun. Thanks. And that's okay too. But also if it was really fun, like, can you name one thing that you had a lot of fun doing so that I can like tell people like this was fun because I challenged my concept of creativity or something,
Yeah.
So asking for feedback, because less likely people will just offer it unsolicited.
Yes.
So you can ask. You don't have to be annoying like I am, but
I mean, it's helpful to put into context that like you and I have like coaching elements to our businesses, which is why testimonials matter more to us.
Yes.
If you are just, let's say you have a studio practice and you are just teaching workshops very occasionally, it is still good to have some kind of like documentation, whether it's photos of the work, photos of you teaching, or testimonials, because then you can use that to market your next workshop. It makes it easier to sell tickets the next time. And so you're just making the work for future you a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And it's really as simple as Rachael mentions she hounds people, which is fine.
In like a playful way.
You can send out like an email, because when you sell tickets, you're likely going to be selling them online. You can just send out an email with like, whether it's a Google form or like a form on your website that just has a couple questions. You can even just put the questions in the body of the email, like asking for feedback or like what the biggest takeaway was, or like what the best part of the day was, just so you can kind of clip bits of that for future like prospect students.
Yeah, love that. And then I think the only other thing that we were kind of talking about in terms of troubleshooting, which is the big one, is what happens when somebody books a ticket, especially like a higher price point item, and they want a refund.
Whether it's they want a refund before or after, they don't show up and they want a refund. How did like just cancellation policy?
Yeah.
In general. And this is kind of up to you because of what Rachael mentioned before. You've already invested the time and money into renting the space, like getting the materials. Maybe you even like got snacks or like food for the workshop. I think that the pre-event cancellation policy, it's up to you. I typically, for smaller workshops, smaller, higher price point workshops. So for example, like my mural workshops, it's 2 days, like in my studio. I don't allow for refunds, but I will allow you to transfer your ticket. Sometimes I'll let people like roll over a partial credit if it's like a medical emergency or something. But if the workshop sells out and then someone asks for a refund, that's a spot that I couldn't then sell.
Right.
And so you kind of have to protect your time in that way. And it's really at your discretion too. But if you want to protect yourself in advance, it's best to put some kind of refund or cancellation policy on your sales page, just so people are clear when they are signing up. I know you and I have talked about this, like when you started doing your own workshops too.
Yeah, I think I can't remember the specific instance. Like someone had signed up and
it's basically the staving off resentment thing again. Like,
yes.
It's communicating with your audience, with your customers, with your students, like, hey, this is we're having an exchange. Like, I'm going to teach, you're going to give me money. And I know we're raised in like a customer's always right, like, kneel down to the customer kind of a culture.
Have we actually talked about that? Like that phrase has evolved over time. It used to be that the customer is always right in matters of taste. Like, I can't say that you're wrong for liking that shirt because it's your taste.
No.
And so it's like, yeah, the customer's right in terms of what they want to buy. But then like, I feel like American culture and capitalism is like, the customer's always right. Like, treat me in this way. But that's not what the original phrase was. Yeah. So it's in matters of taste.
I feel like this should be an episode for next season because it's the carrot and the stick thing.
Yeah.
Too. That I misattributed in the last season.
Yeah. But it also, like, we visualize the stick holding the
also,
carrot.
Things evolve over time. Like, language gets, like, molded and reworked in good and bad.
Yeah, that aura. Kristle's teaching us about what the youths are saying because
Kristle's a youth.
She's
kidding. Kristle's not a youth.
Kristle's the same as us, but has access to the youths, which sounded so terrible. Has family members that are youths that she spends time with. My God. Anyway, I probably used the wrong version of that word wrong also. Anyway.
Okay, to get us back on track. If somebody doesn't show up to your workshop and asks for a refund, it's at your discretion, but I think you're well within your right to say no because that's, again, a ticket that you could not sell. It's eating into your profit margin and, again, your choice. But imagine half of your workshop asked for a refund or didn't show up and asked for a refund. Like, you can't really eat that cost. Maybe if it happens once in a while, that's fine. But it's like when you buy a ticket to a movie and you don't show up. Yeah. It's
and I think like how you can prevent some of that like angst of having to decide is that you put that clearly in your sales page. Like, I asked you for language to put in mine where it was like, there are no refunds on this. You can transfer your ticket if you're interested. And
feel free to steal the language from Rachael or I's sales pages.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same.
Yeah. And I feel like putting that in there, then if someone does email you and say like, I had an emergency, this is what happened, then you can use your discretion in that situation.
You have something to fall back on should you need to point to something neutral.
Right. If it's just like, oh, I forgot and I couldn't make it, then it's like, I'm sorry, I have a cancellation policy for a reason. Like, I'm a small business owner. I rely on this income for planning purposes, whatever. But if it's like, okay, someone, had a true emergency, then you can be like, oh my gosh, of course I can give you back, or I'll give you credit for a future workshop or something. Like, you can decide, but protecting yourself with some of that language of like no refunds or whatever you decide. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to handle it. Like, I can tell like a personal anecdote of someone not being able to make it to one of like my higher price point workshops and like being very apologetic about it, but asking for a refund. And I said that the best I could do was like a partial rollover credit for the next one, but I wasn't sure when the next one was going to be. And she said, okay. And I was like, thanks for understanding. And I basically used language that was like, thank you for understanding. Like, it's hard to be like human while running a small business. Like, they're kind of at odds with each other.
Yeah.
And you just got to navigate it the best you can.
Yeah. And I think like generally people who are taking our workshops and are like accommodating people, understanding people. But if you happen to be teaching a workshop that's more like Gen Pop,
It's Gen Pop.
General population.
Oh.
Anyway, like you might get some people that are used to like Amazon's return policy where it's like, I don't want this anymore. Let me send it back. I want a full refund. And then you have to, and like by having language already in there, you can refer back to that. Like, hey, like I'm a small business, this is why I do that. Like if you were teaching something for like, I don't know, a street festival or something where it's not like your audience necessarily.
Yeah.
Like thinking in terms of that, like depending on your audience, you might want to be more or less understanding, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's really case by case.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like what's that story you shared with me about like the socks or something? This is, I think, a Ben story. You don't have to share it. It's fine.
I don't remember.
Ben gave you really good advice actually
really
about refunding a customer.
Yes. Okay.
And this is a case by case where giving the refund was actually the right thing to do.
Yes. Okay. So I sometimes sell merch. Hats and socks were the latest. And someone ordered a pair of socks and I shipped them, and I had shipped all my orders before. I was dating Ben from World Famous Original, who's a great chain stitcher and has a really cool store in Portland.
Like product-based, like
really cool shop.
Yeah.
And I went to the West Coast to spend Christmas with him, and it was Christmas morning, and why did I do this? But I checked my email and someone said like,
girl boss,
hey, I didn't get my order. And I'm like, why are you emailing me on Christmas? There's nothing I can do. Like, I just like pouted a little bit because like, why did that person think that it was okay? But also like as someone who's had things not arrive, like it's frustrating and you want to check in. And so I was like bitching about it to Ben, and he was like, okay, but like the wholesale cost of those socks was what? Like $11, and you're only out another $11. Like, isn't it worth it to just send another pair than over $11 than like,
have a back and forth email exchange for like
and
a
like
week.
Feel resentment toward this customer. And it was such a good perspective shift for me. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. Like I would rather just keep this customer. They're probably frustrated because it's Christmas. And the tracking said that it was delivered. So it was probably stolen from their porch.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, I was like, oh, that's such good advice. Like, it's not worth it. I can eat that $11. So I resent it. And I
think that's a great story in contrast to like my $750 workshop where I didn't feel comfortable refunding that. And we share these both to like give you a point of reference for it's at your discretion. You should not be forced to eat the cost like on principle.
Yeah.
But there are certain like problems or like headaches as a small business owner where you're like, $20, okay, whatever.
Yeah, like if this is gonna help this person be like, wow, they did a nice thing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was good advice.
Yeah. Again, staving off resentment.
Yeah. Amazing. So I feel like, we just did this crash course mini-series. If you liked the mini-series, let us know because we have some other ideas.
Yeah. If you like this new like condensed Rachael Lauren, more pointed format, if there's other stuff you'd want to learn from us for the next crash course.
Yeah, I think like how we envision this is like the in-between seasons, like a little.
Because clearly we're not planning for like proper times of the year.
Yeah, we'll get there. We're navigating our own lives and businesses in different cities, and we're chaotic creatives. Baby.
Yeah, I know.
So let us know. Obviously, we would love it if you shared this mini series with any pals that are thinking about doing a workshop.
Yeah. We encourage you to teach. Like, I know people are talking a lot now about like getting offline, meeting up IRL. Like, as creative people, like we can be the ones facilitating those like IRL meetups. And, of course, we're talking about this through the lens of like hosting a ticketed workshop. You can even take some of the like tips and lessons from this mini series and just host like a meetup.
I feel like if we had done, which I think we will in the future, like the dinner party idea, the dinner party idea for me was like, how am I very intentionally hosting a party to connect my friends and like try a new skill of like a tablescape or something like that and having a theme and having fun. and it's more about connection. And so like, I know that I'm going to invest money into that.
Yeah.
Versus, like this I'm investing money into and then hopefully getting,
yes.
Money
in
back.
this economy. Yes. Yeah. You deserve to get money back.
Absolutely. So thanks for joining us for Crash Course, and
we'll see you in season 4.
Season 4. Yay. Hey, we're actually hosting this workshop on November 13th in New York City.
You can sign up with the link in the show notes. Hope to see you there.
Crash Course is a chaotic creative miniseries created by me, Rachael Renee.
And me, Lauren Hom.
And our producer, editor, and self-titled podcast gremlin, Kristle Marshall.
Special thanks to our patrons for early access to episodes and bonus content, or to just show us some love, support us on Patreon. Link is in the show notes.
And give us a boost by liking, rating, sharing your favorite episodes with your creative pals, and maybe just send us a nice message on Instagram.
Yes, please. Talk at you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.